actually really interested to hear both of your motivations into why you got into, I guess, conflict at all. I mean, as part of your career. But so maybe.
Oh Jesus, it's a good question actually, and it's very complicated. But it wasn't because I wanted to bear witness and be heroic. That as a young man, it's one has a lot of motivations, right? Some of them self-centered. In my case, I wanted to escape my family very, very badly, and I wanted to hurt my family as well to some degree, my parents. And I think going off to a war was a great form of escape. There was a certain nihilism involved, and there was a certain attempt at punishment involved. Also, as a young man brought up in England at that time, I was educated English history, the romance of British history, the age of chivalry, the age of daring do, great adventure, people going to the edges of the earth and falling off it, was sort of infused through school. So there was a sense of that that I was carrying around. It was in fact when I finished a series of books about those subjects, I was in a bookstore and run out of books to buy, that I came across a book by a photographer called Tim Page, which, although I wasn't particularly interested in the photography, what I saw in Tim's book that was an opportunity to go and get involved in a career as a photographer, as a photojournalist. I was never interested in photography. As a kid, I worked with Vietnamese refugees, and it was my first exposure really to the victims of war. Other than that, it had just been in history books and it was all romanticized. So I got very involved with the Vietnamese. So for me it was a way, I was very political. I was living at a time of Thatcher and Reagan, and you couldn't help but be political. And perhaps because my parents were so right-wing, I was extremely left-wing. And I wanted to tear down the world and the institutions that governed it. So for me, what this job represented was a chance to fulfill all of these things. Gave me the ability to do something good, to feel righteous, to tear down the institutions of power, to escape from a mundane middle-class life in the United Kingdom, and to punish the people who I wanted to punish. And myself.
I wondered for both of you as well, maybe if you can add, Tim, but did you succeed in all of this?
Yeah. I mean, tearing down the institutions of power, no, but with my pals, yeah. And I think what I realised as I matured is that punishing my parents was foolish. That I couldn't change the world by myself. And some of I got less interested in the adventure, and I realised that romanticism was a failed ideal anyway. But still there's a romantic side to me, and that's a very significant part of it. But I still feel that although the vehicles that I might choose to use have changed, I'm not working for the same clients anymore, and I'm not sure that they're the most effective tools anyway. This job, this career, enables me to tilt at windmills. It enables me to constantly reinvent myself, constantly change my focus, attack anything that needs attacking, and defend anything that needs defending, and have a pretty wonderful life. So it really still enables me to fulfill all my desires. But I'd be lying to you if I told you that I was that the only pursuit was noble. Mm-hmm. It's not.
Tim, what would you answer?
My motivations were some similar in terms of politically. I was very active. My mum was a member of CND when I was growing up, which was a British campaign for nuclear disarmament at the time when Thatcher was in power. So we grew up under that. When we used to squat in London and do all that kind of stuff, and so it was there was a kind of a political awareness to the world. But then I just kind of fell into everything really by chance. And my experience of conflict grew out of my exploration of West Africa. I had a very strange experience where I by chance, I was working in London, just working for newspapers or magazines, homeless newspaper. I went back to college when I was to study photography when I was 27, 28, and went to Liberia by chance. They wanted me to go out there to photograph this football team that was coming to the UK on tour, and I was just so blown away. And so I explored West Africa for the next just till 2007, and then during that time realizing that the problems that West Africa faced were a lot linked to young men and these cycles of violence in history. And so in extrapolating that, I inevitably ended up covering the conflicts in Sierra Leone and Liberia and Ivory Coast and then Nigeria and Chad, and so my introduction to conflict was through that way.